Over the past few years, I don't think anybody has come out with more amplifiers in colors and models than Down4Sound. Today we're going to look at the newest model from the Minimaxx series, the MM504. In full disclosure, Down4Sound did pay for a slot on my channel, also for an independent review of this amp, so that's what we're going to do today. Now let's get the box open, take out all the accessories, and find out what's in the box. First up, we get the owner's manual, which covers 3 different models. And the 504 is the one we're going to look at today. We'll talk about the specs here shortly. We also get 2 of these pigtail RCA connectors. This is how the amp accepts its inputs. Again, we'll show that here in a minute. It's 4 pins on one end. It's the 2 RCAs on the other, and it just plugs into the amp. There are 2 of them because this is a 4-channel amplifier. Also, Alan throws in a couple of his keys so that you can tighten down the terminals of this amp. And here is the amp. Speaking of the amp itself, we went with the white color. This is a glossy white finish, but there are 9 different colors, so whichever color works for you. I just wanted the white because I haven't seen the white in the Down4Sound amp yet. As for dimensions, 7.7 inches on the long side. That's from mounting flange to mounting flange. 4.7 inches for the width, and 2.2 inches for the height of this amp. When you have an amp so small with a lot of features for crossovers and stuff, you will notice that it looks real cramped here on this one end. The channel 1 and 2 settings are on the top. Channels 3 and 4 settings are on the bottom. On the far left is the input, which we've shown via the pigtail. Gain control is next, 6 volts to 0.2 volts. High pass filter and low pass filter, and these are via clickable 41 click potentiometers, which I'll show here. Notice the gains are continuously variable and not clickable, but as far as the crossovers go, you can see all the different options based on which click you're on. Just don't let anybody interrupt you while you're counting. The crossovers are also defeatable, as well as having a ×1 or ×10 factor, which is helpful for using high frequency drivers or using bandpass situations. One downside to having an amp this small is having to use something like these pigtails for the RCAs, but it is what it is. On the opposite side, we have the power ground remote, also the speaker terminals, and some indicator LEDs. First off, here on the left, power and ground are via 4 gauge. Remote turn on is via a 12 gauge. In the center, we have the LEDs for power, protect, and clip. Also, the speaker terminals here across the top are for channels 1 and 2, plus minus plus minus. On the bottom, channels 3 and 4, also plus minus plus minus. If you want to bridge, use the outer terminals here, left positive and right negative. As for ratings, at 4 ohms, 50 watts by 4, 2 ohms, 80 watts by 4, or bridging the amp gives you 160 by 2. You can also use it in 3-channel mode at 50 watts by 2 plus 160 by 1. At the time of the video, the amp was on sale for $97. I think the normal price is $115. Now it's time to check out this amplifier to find out how much real power it actually does using the amp dyno. If you've not seen these tests before, on the left, you'll see the power output in watts. In the middle, the ohm load. On the right, the voltage of the dyno. We'll also have a remote clamp indicator so we can calculate the amplifier's efficiency from the current pull.
Hold on to your butts.
When you first power up the amp, it does a self-check with the protect light, power light, and then the power light will stay on. First up, let's try 4 ohms and 4 channels. It's rated 50 watts by 4. All channels are loaded. 2 channels are tested. The other 2 are on external resistors. Let's try it out and see what we get here. Again, rated 50 watts by 4. Certified test takes us up to 1% total harmonic distortion. Let's see what we get. We're closer to 14 volts. We still get the rated power plus a little more, about 65 watts times 4 at 14.14. Next up, we'll reset the dyno here for the uncertified test, which takes us up to clipping. You will notice, though, in these tests that the clipping and the 1% distortion test are nearly identical. So we get 65 watts times 4 here. 14.14 volts. That means when this amp runs out of steam, it just completely runs out of steam. That's not abnormal. We have seen this before. Dynamic test, though, we get right at the rated power, so you can tell when we look at the insides of the amp why that is, but about 53 watts times 4. Now we'll move on to the 2 ohm 4-channel test, rated 80 watts by 4 at 14.4 volts. Certified test, as always, is first, up to 1% total harmonic distortion. Can we get the 80 watts by 4? Yes. We get about 86 watts by 4 at 14.13 volts. Now let's reset the dyno here for the uncertified test, taking us up to clipping 1 kilohertz test track and 87 watts times 4 at 14.14 volts. And finally, we will do the dynamic test, 1 kilohertz pulse track at 14.41. This is the IHF 202 certified test, 92 watts by 4 at 14.4 volts. Now let's move on to the bridge test, where we use the positive of channel 1, negative channel 2, positive of channel 3, and the negative channel 4 to bridge the amplifier. It's rated 160 watts by 2 at 14.4 at 4 ohms. So again, here we're showing positive and negative of each of the opposite channels. Very easy to bridge the amp. Let's try certified first at 1% distortion. Can we get the 160 by 2? Yes, about 175 or so average at 14.26 volts. Uncertified takes us up to the clipping point. Bet we're going to get about the same. Let's find out. Here we go. Yep, 173 or so per channel at 14.27. Again, once this amp gives out a steam, it just kind of gives out. Dynamically though, it actually does a little bit more than the other two tests, about 185 per channel, right at 14.4. Jumped up a little bit because our voltage kind of surged a little. As for the results, I've shown everything here except for the 8 ohm test. I did not show those, but you can see the numbers for 8 ohms. Also check out the efficiency, which is very good in these tests. And for the bridge test as well, we also did 8 ohms. And again, efficiency good in the high 80s to low 90s. So overall, very good performance. These amps do have a plexiglass bottom, but we will take it off so we can get a closer look at the internals. This amp is very small. This is a macro mode here, so it looks like it's bigger, but you can see the driver board, you can see the transformers, some of the capacitors, and also some of the inductors. For the rails, we have 1,000 microfarad 35 volt capacitors, and here's a comparison to a canned drink. Gives you an idea of how small this amp is overall. All the Down4Sound amps have an encoded message on the circuit board. Leave a comment below as to what you think this encoded message means. Now let's move on to the test with speakers. The ELAC bookshelf speakers are some of my favorites. Let's see how this amp sounds. I don't typically talk a lot about sound quality because it is subjective. However, when I test an amp, I like to find out, does it make any extraneous noises? Does it do turn on pops, turn off pops? How does it control the speaker in these bass applications? In this case, it did everything well. Although the amp is really designed for mids and high applications, we did try it here in the 3-channel mode, powering the ELAC bookshelf speakers in the Savard 6.5-inch sub, and it did well. Checking the thermals here with the FLIR camera, we noticed mid 80 degree Fahrenheit, which kind of normal for an amp, so it did not get overly hot, did not have any issues with it shutting down, anything like that. So overall, nothing to be concerned about from the thermals perspective. Now let's talk pros and cons. Of course, these are my opinion of the good and bad. Let's find out what I think. First off, compact size, rated power plus, crossover features with ×10 factor, bandpass capability, and more. 2, 3, or 4 channel operation, 9 different color choices. Get it whatever you want to match your car, your interior, or whatever. It stayed cool and it had excellent efficiency. Things that could be better: it doesn't have any RCA outputs. The RCA pigtails are concerning. No remote bass. Of course, this is mainly a mids and high amp. No 2-channel input option. Wish they had that ability. And no Bluetooth. I know people have asked before, hey, I just want to hook this straight up with no head unit. There's my review of the Down4Sound Minimaxx MM504. Overall, it met and exceeded all its ratings. Well, except for one. You have to watch all the way to the end to see that. Anyway, this amp is not marine rated. Down4Sound will have some all-season amplifiers coming out soon that will be marine rated, so stay tuned for those coming later. Thanks as always for watching. Make sure you smash the thumbs up. Leave a comment below. Also, subscribe to my channel if you like this content. Till next time, Big D, I'm out of here. To those who stuck around to the end, we have 2 additional tests. This one's 4 ohms bridge mono using the 40 hertz track. It's rated 160 by 2, and as you can see, we're a little bit shy, 145 by 2 at 14.4. Now we're going to try the dynamic test at 2 ohms bridge mono, not rated for 2 ohm bridge or 1 ohm stereo loads, but using the 1 kilohertz burst track. There you go. About 275 by 2 at 14.4 volts.